Hello everyone, my name is Brad Tompkins. I am the host for Visionary Voices and also the VMUG Executive Director. And today we have Mr. Chris Wolf. Chris, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
Glad you're here. So there's a lot of things going on with private AI, and I know that's your forte now as you're explaining to many VMUGs across the world, what's going on with private AI. What has adoption been like? I feel like a lot of our members are at that point where like, how am I going to use that? How is adoption coming for private AI?
Yeah, it's a great question. And if we go back, say, to 2024, at 2024, private AI was really about, let's see what the use cases are. There's some kicking the tires, playing around with models and things like that. But in 2025, we're seeing a significant change where folks are really moving towards larger deployments at scale. And now we're seeing a tremendous amount of traction from our customers in terms of really rolling this out. So for the VI admin and our VMUG member, this is really the time to start to really wrap your arms around this, because this can really set your career up for that next phase of growth.
So what is a good way for members to learn more about this and then dive into that technology?
Well, you can go right to vmware.com/privateai, that you can get to our landing page. You're going to see a lot of resources there. It's a good place to start. But in addition to that, you want to start thinking about what does AI really encompass? And these are things that you've all been dealing with for a very long time. So if we step back, right? Now, think about what an AI use case really is, right? All the attention goes on the GPUs, but it's really an infrastructure problem, because AI workloads need network I/O, they need data I/O, they need memory, right? They need CPU, they need all of these different resources. And I need to think about, how do I pull and manage and allocate them successfully so that I'm able to meet my performance mandates. And this sounds like a lot of the virtual infrastructure problems you've been managing your entire career. Now, you think about why VMware for this, because people will ask that, like, why not just do it in the cloud? We found that our price advantages can be 3 to 5x that of the public cloud. And in addition to that, taking this platform approach that we provide means that as any type of new model or service comes around, the VI admin, you can just onboard these via software. It makes it really easy. So you're pooling and sharing your capacity, you're saving a lot of money for your company in the process. And you're very efficiently serving GPUs and the related AI capacity for these models and applications.
And I think one of the reasons why, private AI, on-prem AI is popular is because AI is fed on data. And when you start putting all that amounts of data into a hyperscaler, costs are going up, you're worried about security, you're worried about how do we protect this, confidential algorithm that we're putting together on our particular AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where we've seen this interest in our approach to AI really start to take off, because you see today, you see these new models coming around and people are like, well, are they secure? Well, if you can bring the model in and I can use my existing enterprise firewalls, I can use my existing security controls, I can make sure that I'm effectively scanning model output using what I have. Well, guess what? You're using your own familiar tools that you have proven over time and that you trust for this. And now when I start to bring the model back to my data and run it adjacent to the data that I have, right, this is giving me the ability to maintain control of my data, but while also still getting the benefits of AI.
One thing that you said earlier that it's really, I feel like, interesting about the whole VCF platform is we are starting to look at things like workloads. So AI model can be a workload. Kubernetes is a workload. Of course, VMs are workload, but that really allows in that platform people to manage from whatever is thrown at them from an infrastructure perspective. You're set and ready for whatever your company may need.
That's really the key. It's like, why do I need another set of tools or another set of processes for AI workloads, right? I don't need to do that. I can use the tools and processes that I already have. And that's where, again, you get into some of the cost savings that we can provide for AI. Because as you said, it's just another workload. I don't have to think that it's something special that deserves to be on its own island, because it doesn't need to be. It is one more workload, and then you should be able to share the capacity that you already have in place to be able to run that workload.
So how are your customers taking advantage of this from, we've heard often that technology is not necessarily the hard part, it's the people in the process. So I would imagine when you're thinking about, deploying an internal AI model, there's some shifts that has to happen at that level too. What are customers doing to get over that challenge?
Yeah, it starts with, you have to really hone in on your first use case. So a lot of times when people are thinking about AI, like an example I like to use is, blockchain, if we go back 5-6 years ago, right? Everybody was saying, well, you need a blockchain for that. And I'd be like, well, can I just use a relational database for this problem? No, it has to be blockchain, right? And it's like, it just didn't make sense. And you see the same thing with AI today. It's like, oh, well, this is an AI use case. And it's like, well, why? Why is it? Can you measure the business value, right? Is this something that there's truly an improvement where it's going to justify the cost of running this AI service, right? The model, the capacity, all of the things. And if you can't answer that question, then maybe it means it's not a good AI use case, and that's okay. So you have to start by aligning on that early use case. Like one that we found that is very repeatable is usually these enterprise RAG applications, especially around like your contact center employees. Like let them gain access to the right data faster so that they can close support tickets and customer calls faster, right? I can get a measurable business gain in that particular use case. And we even have police departments that are looking at bringing on a new detective and looking at an old case file, right? This is an area where I can bring that detective up to speed really quickly, right? By using that generative AI and allowing that detective to interact with a language model. And another use case we've seen has been really successful is in hospitals. There's a healthcare customer we're working with. And what they're now using is AI agents to create all of the necessary forms for the doctor, say after a surgical procedure. Everything's already filled out based on what the doctor had previously dictated or what was observed in the surgery. So the doctor is just now having to go through and just reread it, make any adjustments, and then boom, they're done. This is saving a surgeon or a doctor up to 2 hours a day and really helping them to manage just the overall physician burnout. So you get to that successful use case, right? Then from that use case, I can look to demonstrate value. So once I have that, it's like, okay, we have an AI win. We've proven out the value of the platform. Then you can start to look for, well, what's the next use case I can take on, right? And iterate from there. I don't have to look at AI as being everything to everybody. And that's a challenge that we've seen, and we've heard it a lot from our customers. Like they say, hey, your competitors keep coming in, and they're just like, well, we can be AI for anything you want. What do you want it to be? We can be AI. And that's not what people need. They need to be told, like, where are you finding success among our peers? Help us start there and help us get our first win.
So it could be more about maybe smaller mission specific AI models that because of VCF and you're doing it on training, you can spin up faster. And maybe it's not for the entire company, but it's one particular group, but it's helping them, save time and focus on what they need to be focused on. Like your surgeon example, we don't want them to be getting tired doing paperwork. We want them ready to go when it's time to have surgery.
Yeah. And it's a good example because if you look back, say 3 years ago, when we started on this private AI path, the narrative at the time was the entire industry is going to be focused on mega LLMs. All of the AI workloads were going to go to the cloud. And we already had enough experience running services internally that we knew that was just not going to be the case. So you mentioned smaller language models and more domain specific models that have intelligence. It's really key. An example I like to give is like, if I'm asking a AI model about vSphere, right, or a VMware troubleshooting problem, I don't need the model telling me I need to floss, right? I don't need a model that knows anything about dentistry. I don't care, right? I want to have that domain expertise. And once I get to that, now all of a sudden I need a lot less compute capacity. I need lower cost. I use less energy. I need less power to my server racks. There are all of these benefits to running these domain specific models. And to give you a specific example inside Broadcom, the model that we're using for code assistance today among our software engineers, we can get up to 1,000 software engineers on a single GPU.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you think about like a Cloud Foundation division, I don't know, we have roughly 7,000 employees. So if we had every single team member of our entire division in VCF inside Broadcom using an AI code assist, we would need 7 GPUs. So you don't need these massive amounts of GPUs for a lot of these use cases if you have the right architecture.
So that's another reason to kind of make sure it's domain specific, because you mentioned the power, and of course we know how hard it is to get GPUs and those kind of things. That's a good, important way to look at it. And I would imagine that from an IT perspective, maybe you could take that from a help desk kind of thing, something that, the traditional VMUG member is familiar with, help desk, those kind of things, and start to build it that, way internally.
Exactly. And that's how we're looking to help our VI admins as well using AI, is giving them the tools to find that answer faster in VMware Docs, right? Being able to find the right KB article to solve their problem, or to be able to tell them, for your problem, the common pattern is it's almost always solved in these 5 knowledge base articles. So if you follow the steps in these 5 KB articles, we're very confident we're going to help you to solve your problem. We're even benchmarking up to 2/3 support call redirection using this technology. So that's something we previewed last year, but it's coming soon. Our VI admins can look forward to seeing that in the product in the not too distant future.
Well, I remember, when cloud was coming on, maybe not a lot, but some people were like, oh, it's going to take my job. And now people are like, oh, yeah, it's going to take my job. And I would argue that it's going to maybe take the mundane part of the job that you really don't want to do, but that will allow you to focus on, higher level things. Another thing about being domain specific is smaller companies can take advantage of it because you don't need all this, compute and all these kind of things. So regardless if you're a VMUG member out there, enterprise, of course, they've got a lot of resources, commercial or SMB, but there could be a play for, all those customers for AI.
There's going to be AI use cases, I think, everywhere, right? It's safe to say, and I mean, there's definitely some irony here. Like me, right? You have enough gray hairs, and you can remember that for the last 20 odd years or whatever, all of the talk has been, you need to get rid of all your agents. No agents. Agents are a bad thing, right? They introduce security vulnerabilities, blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, hey, you need AI agents to do this problem, right? So people are like, pump the brakes. And it's reasonable, but the thing about like technology advances is you really have 2 choices. You can kind of stand on the sidelines and watch it go, right? Or you can choose to participate. And that's really that crossroads that I would say we're at with AI, is that, and for all of our customers, you want to make that choice to participate today, right? You want to be a part of the solution, gain that career expertise, because that's going to help you. Like I look back at my career and I knew some people that were certified Novell engineers. I was among that group. And I was quite proud of that certification. And when Windows came along, there were folks that they dug in their heels and they stayed on the CNE path. And one person that had been a friend of mine, he lost his job. You know where he worked next? Radio Shack.
Oh, wow.
That didn't work out either for him, right? So, the lesson to me is always you have to be able to evolve and really take on these new skills and push yourself. And it's incremental. Like people look at AI as like it's this new daunting thing, but it's really not, because when we talk to customers and I talk to like the heads of AI at these different companies, there's 2 things that really help them to see our value. The first one is I say, well, what if we're half the cost of what you're doing now? That gets their attention.
Yeah, I bet.
And then I say, well, how long does it take you to actually cycle through and stand up an AI service, get a new model deployed? The typical answer is it could take weeks, because it's not just as simple as, well, I got to run this model. It's like, well, the model then uses a framework such as PyTorch, and then there's going to be specific driver dependencies that are going to sit below that. The model's going to have certain libraries that it's going to depend on that are going to be optimized for a particular accelerator. So once I even go to a different GPU, all of a sudden, like that entire like orchestration construct changes. This is the hard part for customers that they're often having to cycle through. So when I say, well, hey, we can give you a blueprint and you can just kind of point and click, and then using technologies we built like deep learning VMs, this is all completely automated for you and it's hands-free, and you can cycle through and A/B test models in minutes. They're like, wow, that's tremendous value. And that's just building on all of the tools that our VI admins have been using for years. So you're ready to step into this.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to think about it. It's in the familiar VMware ecosystem. So again, adding a different workload, whether it's AI or whatever, should be something that all our members should be eager to do, because you're right. You have to continue learning and you have to move forward. No one wants to sit on the sideline.
Yeah, for sure.
So Chris, we recently did a survey and our members came back and said the top reasons that they're not deploying VCF, number 1 was cost, number 2 was complexity, and number 3 was skills gap. What is VMware doing to help people in that situation?
Yeah, so let's look at it at the VCF side and then on the AI side, because I think there's two areas here. First with VCF, the challenges that our customers have been telling us for years. So this is our technical advisory board members. These are our VMUG members. They've been looking to deliver the promise of infrastructure as a service that looks and feels like public cloud. But the way we've done it historically has been to really piecemeal everything, right? And that's what leads to the complexity. If you look at AWS or you look at Azure or you look at GCP, they don't have millions of variables, and they don't say, well, every cloud data center can be different and use whatever the data center operators decide, right? They are highly standardized, and are highly standardized for a reason, because that's really how you can achieve effective automation at scale. And that's what we're saying with VCF. The value proposition of VCF is to say, if you want simple, purpose-built infrastructure as a service that's easy to operate, right, easy to deploy, easy to upgrade, then this is what you want. And look, VMUG members, I know there's some of you out there that are saying, hey, wait a minute, I've heard this about VCF for like the last 6 years. So why is it different this time? And I think that matters. And you'll hear like Paul Turner even talk about this, is that now what we've done is we've unified our entire product organization. We have a unified architecture. So the different engineering leaders in VCF were responsible for delivering the engineering required in a particular feature area, which in my case is artificial intelligence. But it is one unified architecture. It is one product release train. It truly is a unified, integrated product. And that's really the key. So we're not looking even for folks to say, well, you got to like spend more on infrastructure and operations. The real message here is that we're asking people to, maybe you might have to shift some of your spend to really opt into this true unified IaaS. And there's a ton of benefits that go along with it. So, my ask to our customers is, follow us on this journey, because we know you're going to get a better experience. We can't just keep trying to repeat those patterns of the past by trying to piecemeal everything and bringing in all of this complexity. We have to kind of let go a little bit to get the benefits. Now, let me back up though, because I'm not done, right? I want to talk about artificial intelligence.
There's more.
Too. Yeah, so artificial intelligence, like I've mentioned that, you have GPUs, right? You have to learn the nuances of, well, how do I slice and schedule GPU capacity, right? How do I start to layer these things in here? Because it's not even just about processing. Because with vSphere, that was easy. I'm scheduling, sharing the CPUs and CPU cores, no problem. A GPU card, it's not just about the compute on there, but it also has memory. So I have to be smart about how I'm actually partitioning and sharing memory as well. So there are some infrastructure nuances, but those will be easy. The other part that the VI admin really needs to think about, though, is just building foundational knowledge in generative AI. There's lots of resources online. You can look at taking courses through like Coursera. There's lots of different options out there just to get you to some AI 101. Even our partner, NVIDIA, they have a ton of training that's available for free. So I would start there, build the foundation, understand what are the nuances, what does it really take to run a language model? What does it take to add in model governance so that I'm approving models for production and making sure that they're being used safely by the data scientists and application developers in my organization? What are the problems and complexities, right, with trying to run these types of services at scale? So take some courses, build that AI foundation, start to think about above it. We have a ton of resources as well, even from Broadcom, such as our VMware validated design for private AI. That's going to give you everything from how do I size the network based on this type of language model I'm trying to run, right? To what I would think about like data IO capacity to the types of GPUs to use. All of that is in this validated design. That's going to be another really good resource, I think, for all of the VMUG members out there.
And let's talk a little bit about the partner ecosystem too, because they can help out in this, whether maybe you need the staff augmentation or maybe, hey, get it set up and we can manage it. What's the partner ecosystem doing from a deploying, VCF AI?
Yeah, there's two sides to this. So if you look at like the software partners, we've been very attractive in terms of everybody in the AI ecosystem. And the reason for that is we have a very clear demarcation point between the value that we provide and where we're looking for partners to add value. And we're the only ones that can say that. The only ones who can say that. Because we're saying, hey, we're going to provide reliable, secure, safe, scalable, lowest cost in the industry AI infrastructure platform that you build on top of. We are not going to compete with you in terms of delivering and maintaining AI models. We're the only ones that can say that. Our competitors, they're going to offer their own models and services too. So that sets us up as a really easy place for people to come and partner with us because we can approach customers together and work really well. So that's helped. Now, the other side of it too is really our system integrator partners. And we're working with a ton of folks out there. So, whether that's like WWT, whether that's, who else is out there? HCL Tech is another important partner. We've been bringing on a lot of regional partners as well in the US. So these are folks like Ahead, as an example. Presidio, lots of your traditional VMware partners we're working really closely with, PQR, Extrovert. You look at some of the companies in EMEA, and again, they really understand our value proposition. They're committed to working together with us as well. And I think you're going to hear from some newer ones as well. I go pretty far back with some of these folks like 27 Virtual. So another very popular VMUG sponsor, and they're on it with AI as well. So you're going to see a lot of value for them too.
Well, it's exciting to see the evolution of what's happening, not only with VMware, but VCF. We saw, 5.2 was a great leap forward. We're all excited about 9.0 and what's that going to bring, and kind of bringing that VCF to be the platform to do whatever workload you want to do. So it's exciting times ahead, and you can find out more at a local VMUG. Chris, I know you're heading to some VMUGs. I think you've got some keynotes lined up. Where are you going to be this year?
I am still waiting, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, my boss Krish is like, I want to be at every VMUG possible. So I am hey, VMUG leaders, go talk to Mr. Tompkins over here and say, hey, we want to bring the wolf out. So I'm ready to come, but I need an at bat here. So I put the ball back in your court.
All right, sounds good. We can certainly take care of that. Well, Chris, anything else you'd like to say before we close out here? And I do appreciate your time with VMUG and talking shop.
Yeah, last thing I would just say is, if you didn't see some of the sessions at Explore this past year, get ready for what's coming in 9.0. I mean, super exciting stuff right around the corner. So this is going to be a model runtime, data indexing and retrieval service. We're going to have a AI API gateway that's going to allow you to do things like token rate limiting and reduce noisy neighbor types of problems. All the talk on AI agents, we're going to give you a tool that's going to let you go in and build your own agents using natural language. So super cool stuff. I mean, I'm just salivating at the new features that we have coming, and really hoping that many of you are going to kick the tires and give us some feedback.
Looking forward to doing it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Visionary Voices. If you'd like to learn more about VMUG, you can do that at vmug.com. Thank you.